Everything I do is brought to you by myself. RobertDerrickRich.com. Alright, welcome back to Outward Hardcore. I'm going to do things a little bit different. I'm not really going to play the game, the way I was before. We're going to set up camp here on this dock where we left off before. We're going to set up a fire, maybe a tent. It's coming evening, so we'll watch the sun go down and the stars come up. And I want to talk a bit on simulation theory. Well, I've always considered life a simulation, metaphorically. Just something that tests us to see, hopefully we grow and get some kind of benefit out of the craziness that is life. But I never really considered it a computer simulation. That doesn't seem reasonable. But I just recently heard some arguments concerning simulation theory that MIT, which is a science-based institute, their math department has calculated the odds of whether we're in a base simulation or a base reality is what they're calling it, or a simulated reality, and they're calculating it at 50%. Now that's crazy to me. If I try to even ponder that this being a computer simulation, I would have to come out with, as far as my reasoning, that this would have to be a self-writing program, because every time you would come to a boundary somewhere, the computer would write in what's next, what discovery you find. Or otherwise you would find a wall, kind of like in a computer game. You'd find the edge and you'd know it was a simulation. But we don't do that, so it's got to be self-writing, even down to the atoms and what they're composed of. And then on top of that, we're sentient. I think, therefore I am. So, is it a spirit shoved in a computer somewhere? Or has a computer AI become sentient, so I think, and I'm nothing more than a computer that ponders his own existence? Well, that's kind of weird too. I don't know. Then on top of that, what about the complication of it all? Diseases, cancer, the fight of the fittest, the stuff that goes on that we see, the construct of atoms, it's so complicated. What's the point in a computer simulation? Now, I've been diagnosed with late onset Tourette's. I didn't have this till my mid-30s. There is a neuro lab that has researched that particular thing, and they've come to their conclusion that most people with late onset Tourette's had a preceding event that causes this, not like a genetic version. So it was either a head injury or an infection that has caused a dysfunctional immune system and caused swelling in the brain. Well, in my case, it was probably a tick bite when I lived on a farm some 16 years ago, which contracted a bacteria that we call Lyme's disease, and that Lyme's disease has crossed the blood-brain barrier and caused a dysfunctional immune system and inflammation in the brain. The brain gets inflamed, and I have these symptoms of Tourette's. Okay, what's the point in programming that? That's weird, man, if you're considering this a computer program. Okay, my brain's trying to rationalize that. So if I try to think, okay, how do I make that work reasonably? Well, maybe it's a study of cause and effect. the tick bite happens, and this causes that, and that causes something else, and this happens, and we're learning from it. But in that case, who's really learning from it? Most people are not set up to learn their lessons in life. It's just not the way that these people operate. A lot of people, and not in general, I always hate it when everybody lumps everybody into a general. There's a lot of people that do learn from their lessons, just not the majority of what I'm seeing. So most of them are victims. They don't really see any kind of a lesson in the things and the tragedies that happen to them. So if they're not learning what's happened, cause and effect, well then who is? Well, maybe it's for an unseen observer. Maybe they're looking at the cause and effect, and it's not really about us. Now, if I had to set up some kind of an analogy, I would say, okay, maybe I've got a dozen turtles, and I'm wanting to find the fastest one. So I set up a group of tests designed specifically for that task. I find the fastest one, reach down, pull him out of this simulation, and now I've got the fastest turtle. Well, do I punish the others for not being fast enough? Well, no. I feed them and I give them a paradise to live in. Love them and then enjoy their beauty. I mean, let's face it, turtles are awesome. Just like that moon I'm looking at right there. Now back to the game, it is kind of a nice sky feature out there. Anyway, you kind of see what I'm getting at. MIT considers the odds of this being a base reality versus a computer simulation 50-50. Well, maybe that's true, but why does it have to be a computer simulation? Maybe this is not the base reality, but maybe the base reality is in another dimension, and this is a simulation, but not in a computer. The Bible says we entertain angels unaware. So either physical people we meet are angels, which I've not met any that I consider that, or they're invisible. We can't see them, maybe in another dimension. And we entertain them. We don't know we're being watched all the time. Well, if that's the case, maybe that is the base reality, and this really is just a simulation. Oh, and another thing these scientists did that for their argument that this is a computer simulation is they put computer data, a certain amount of bits, into human DNA, and then they were able to retrieve it. So they could use human DNA as a storage device for computer data. And a small strip of DNA, they said, could hold up to 250,000 terabytes. Now think about that. That's 250,000 1 terabyte computers in just a small strip of DNA. Now that's crazy, man. I can't fathom that. Well, I ponder stuff like that like all the time. Probably because my brain keeps telling me this ain't real every time I look around and kind of observe what I observe in the world and the way it works and the way people act, even through history. There's just so much of it that doesn't make sense to my reasoning, and I understand that's just the way I think. That may be a problem with my brain. I don't know. But, and then I just start thinking, I'm not going to say I'm going to come up with an idea or something that explains all of this. I don't know, I might explain it to myself, to my own reasoning, but I take everything like that with a grain of salt because, we all do the best we can with what we've got, with the reasoning we've got. We can't do any other. I can't think with your brain, you can't think with my brain. When I observe using this calculator, not anybody else's. So if somebody wants to be hard on me for the way I think, well, I'm sorry, I'm kind of stuck in this head. I'm not going to be hard on you for the way you think. We all do the best we can with what we've been given. And granted, some people have been given a little more than others. I'm not about to judge myself because I am always assuming that oneself is the worst judge of their own sanity. I may be crazy. Who knows? But it just might be a lunatic you're looking for. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist that. Anyway, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here. I'm going to enjoy the fire. The night sky. In this dimension, sometimes the clouds don't cover as much of the sky and you get more of a starry view. So who knows? Maybe this is some kind of computer simulation. But you'd have to understand some kind of purpose behind it. That doesn't make sense to me. We all need some kind of purpose. Some people find theirs in religion. My family, I'm a 5th generation minister. That's where we found ours. I kind of hope now I can be kind of spiritual without being religious, because I'm a little agnostic in that view now. But anyway, I'll let you go, and I'll chat at you all later. Bye.